Hi everybody, my name is Todd Creager. What I do is I help couples heal from infidelity and other such crises. I also help couples rekindle passion, increase desire, and feel alive with each other. And I also help individuals heal from trauma using eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, EMDR. It's one of the quickest ways to help people get over PTSD and have healthy lives again after trauma of all kinds. Today, I'm going to be talking about using EMDR to heal from the trauma of infidelity. So putting two of those things I work with together, which is very helpful. And I use EMDR more and more when dealing with infidelity. So let me tell you how I do that. Let's start with the person who betrayed, the cheater, okay, the person who acted out. When I use EMDR, let me explain EMDR first actually. EMDR it was discovered by Francine Shapiro, a lady who's a psychologist, in 1989, and recognized when she was going through her own process of trauma that her eyes were moving back and forth. And she started to play with it and started to help people, their colleagues, mainly her colleagues, to see if moving their eyes back and forth while focusing on the trauma helped them process it. Well, that was the very beginning. Now EMDR is an 8-stage process with a lot of research behind it. And what it's really all about is it helps people start to process traumatic memory like we do with most experiences. You know, if you have a bad experience, like let's say you had a bad traffic day, you don't hold on to it, you move on. And you're fine. But if it's a traumatic memory, it's usually something that was too much for us to handle. Whether it was a molest or a rape, or being abandoned, or a car accident, or a war injury, war accident. These are things that can be too much for our nervous system, so it gets stuck in traumatic memory. And using eye movements or other ways to stimulate the brain and other strategic things that we do, we help that traumatic memory to be processed like the bad traffic day memory. So it's very effective. The EMDR is based on the fact that we do move towards healing. And this basically kind of unkinks the hose so you could flow again. So now, infidelity. So you have the cheater. Now the cheater oftentimes has acted out because of an underlying trauma. I'm not excusing the cheater, but I have educated people who have been listening to me that infidelity is a symptom. It's a problem, but it's not the problem. We got to look at what makes them do what they do. And oftentimes there's some underlying trauma. I'll give you an example. One person who cheated on his partner, his wife, and what we realize is he has these qualities of a sex addict, and he cheated. We noticed that in his history, he started to masturbate compulsively when he was 5 years old. Now I explained to him, masturbating when you're 5 is kind of normal, but the way he described it, it seemed like it was over the top. What we started doing in his history, we found out that he had a variety of crises, including being bullied, but the big one was when, you guessed it, he was 5 years old. His dad had abused his mom when he was 2. He had a memory for that, which I won't go into. And then his mom took him and left the father, but the father would consistently visit him for those next 3 years. But at age 5, he told his son, his 5-year-old son, I can't see you anymore. When we focus on that memory, that's when a lot of feelings came up. That's when it was clear that he was carrying forward with him this feeling of I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. We processed that trauma. It was powerful. Since then, when I ask him about any of his urges, they are gone. No urges. Now, I'm not saying it's always that black and white and simple and tied with a nice little ribbon, but it sometimes is, and that's one of the examples. That's a very recent one. I've had another person, happened to be a male as well, who was abandoned by his mother, and his acting out was a way of sabotaging his relationship. It's like, well, you're going to abandon me just like my mother abandoned me, so I'm going to just mess this up anyway. It's like the pain of abandonment was so great that at least when he cheated, he had control. He had no control as a little boy when his mom abandoned him, and nobody had any control if his wife one day decided to withdraw, and that was his fear and his projection. What we did is we did some EMDR with him on the abandonment of his mother, and he just never again sabotaged the marriage. This was a marriage where the wife decided she was going to work on this, and it was a very successful story. The part that was sabotaging wasn't needed anymore to protect because he had processed that earlier memory. Very, very important. Now let's talk about the person who's betrayed. Oftentimes, the betrayed person has not only the pain of what the spouse did to him or her, but had an earlier betrayal or earlier betrayals. I had one lady who was betrayed, and it brought her right back to her father, who betrayed her in a major way. Even when he left, his mom took her bat mitzvah money that she had gotten. And when she was 18, she needed the money to buy a car, and it was not there because her father had stolen it. So we processed several of the betrayal moments, especially that one, but others as well. And she got healthier. She was in a much better position in terms of her current relationship. And she would have been good, except that the husband kept cheating. So that was another story. But we realized that that triggered the earlier abandonment issues. And another way I use EMDR in cases of infidelity is, let's say the betrayed person, and this happens a lot in my practice, they get better. They have processed the trauma, or they've recognized what was behind their infidelity, and they are developing better habits, new habits. They're doing all the things that make them more trustworthy. The other partner even agrees, my partner who seems different, communicates more, has grown up. However, I still can't get over it. I still keep seeing the images of him with that other person in my head over and over again. Or I keep remembering the moment where I discovered the text or the Facebook message or whatever it was, and I can't get over it. We use EMDR for this person to process the trauma so that he or she is now free to enjoy the growth of the partner who previously betrayed that person. This process of EMDR doesn't make the person overly gullible, doesn't make them stupid. All it does is it helps them take the traumatic sensitization out of it, so they're free to act in ways that really can be helpful to them. So I just wanted to tell you that is one way I use EMDR a lot in my practice, and it's very helpful and helps the couple and each individual process their trauma much more quickly than just using talk therapy. It's really wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful approach. What I want you to do also is hit the checklist of ways to heal from infidelity below. Click on that, and it's really, really helpful. I highly encourage you to do that. So I wish you well. This is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.